While we were staying at Lake Malawi during our study abroad program, I expected to talk about things like the history of the area, the importance of Lake Malawi, and how Lake Malawi tied into the health of the people living around it. I hardly expected to have a conversation with a random person that I would carry with me for the rest of my time abroad, as well as after, which also helped develop my view and understanding of global health. Hello, my name is Cairo Sloan, and for my digital storytelling, I will be focusing on the relationship between international aid and Malawian health outcomes. So, what exactly was this conversation that changed my view of global health? It started out as a casual conversation with a man I happened to start talking to named Chisomo about environmental health and the importance of recognizing climate change. Then, he said something that made me stop and think. We're all connected. What I do here in Malawi affects you in the United States, and what you do there affects me here in Malawi. Of course, we were talking about climate change at the time, and the connection to global health didn't exactly click until much later, but he was right. Chisomo perfectly highlighted how the whole world is interconnected in one way or another in our health, whether it is caused by one person, large businesses, governments, disease outbreaks, or in this case, international aid. Throughout the course of my time in Malawi, we conducted multiple clinic visits and got to talk to several wonderful health professionals about how the different clinics and hospitals were run. In most of the clinics we visited, there were HIV and AIDS prevention and treatment centers. As we began talking with the health professionals, we learned that these centers had been set up through USAID, a United States International Aid Organization, to provide testing, treatment, and prevention methods for people in Malawi. We were told that as people began coming to these centers for testing and treatment, they began to see more positive health outcomes in people living with HIV and AIDS and lower mortality rates. As other individuals living with HIV and AIDS saw this, it inspired them to choose treatment at the clinics instead of alternative medicine options. This had a great positive effect in several ways on the social determinants of health, as it increased access to resources and education about HIV and AIDS, which in turn led to an increase in positive health outcomes. Unfortunately, the recent changes in the government of the United States have caused funding cuts to many organizations, such as USAID, causing workers to be laid off and supplies harder to get for HIV and AIDS relief. As of our time in Malawi, the health professionals that we talked to informed us that it was too early to really tell how the withdrawal of USAID would play out, though the positions left by laid-off USAID workers had been temporarily filled by the Malawian government. Many of the health professionals we talked to expressed concern about how it would play out. Some of the effects that had already been seen included PrEP becoming inaccessible, though it was a newer resource in Malawi, so there weren't too many negative effects anticipated from PrEP becoming inaccessible. One clinic in particular worried that the budget cuts would cause them to lose access to antiretroviral treatment, ARVs. They expressed to us that if this were the case, many people would likely go back to alternative medicine options, causing HIV and AIDS mortality and morbidity rates to increase. As a whole, the withdrawal of USAID negatively affects the social determinants of health for many Malawians, as it removes an important resource and decreases access to treatment and knowledge, making Malawians who are already negatively affected by the social determinants of health more likely to experience negative health outcomes as the withdrawal of USAID plays out. Thank you for taking the time to watch my digital storytelling. I would like to extend a special thank you to Madam Zali and Must for their partnership in developing our study abroad program, Madam Olive for sharing her time and expertise with us, Drs. Kristen Elwell and Julia Gardner for leading us as our professors on this incredible study abroad program, and Chisomo for reframing my view of global health. Thank you.